Tonight on A Queer Idea, I've got a couple of guests with me. We'll be talking about, it's a bit of a vague kind of thing actually. We're talking about changes in religion and religious communities around us at the moment. Now I've got Michael Barnett from Aleph Melbourne. Thank you very much for joining us. And we've got Minister Matt Glover, who was, well, how do you say, you've been working with the LGBTI community for years, but his most frequently asked question, is he gay? Answer is no, so forget it. So the reason I kind of thought let's start talking about this a little bit is that recently in Brazil, the new Pope, so Pope 2.0, post-Ratzinger, said about gay priests, or was it about gay people?
I think it was gay people in general.
Gay people, who am I to judge? Which for a Pope is like huge, right?
It's really big in that it just opens the way for a different conversation to happen. Previously it's no, anyone that's gay is an abomination, going to go to hell, let's not even go past that discussion. Whereas this comment from the Pope, as I said, opens the way for a much healthier conversation to happen, which I hope we'll see, unfold in the Catholic Church over the next few years.
Yeah, although I sometimes feel like the Pope is like the PR guy for the Catholic. He's like, no, our product's great, it's good, but we'll see. It's still a very positive kind of step. Now, Michael, you said there was something big that's been happening in Melbourne recently with the Jewish community as well.
Oh, look, there's news pretty much happening this week as we're talking that a number of organisations within the Jewish community here in Melbourne have added their name to the list of supporters or organisations that are happy to promote a No to Homophobia message and the No to Homophobia campaign. And I think that's an amazing step forward from go back to March, where there wasn't a single Jewish organisation that officially would say we don't, we won't accept homophobia, to now having 20 organisations, mainly the Jewish Community Council of Victoria, which is an umbrella body, has started this momentum and has brought along 19 other organisations within the Jewish community. And I think that's quite an amazing step where, again, a conversation can now be had within the community about saying no to homophobia, and then not so much saying no to homophobia, but I would like them to sort of see that evolve into yes to homosexuality being okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. It's fairly close. But I think what you said, and by the way, I should say, when he says "as we speak," that could be a couple of months ago, because we do sort of tape these a little while before they go on air. But talking about the conversations is the fact that we're talking about homosexuality and religion. When I was growing up 20 years ago, it's kind of like you didn't really talk about that. I think if you were of faith in a queer environment, you didn't mention it because it wasn't popular. Do you think that's changed?
I think it's changing, and I think the main thing that has changed or has helped that change is the stories of queer people with a faith background, recognising that no, faith is part of my core being, as is my sexuality, and the two can go together. I don't have to compartmentalise who I am, and if I'm at church, pretend I'm not same-sex attracted. If I'm with my gay friends, I don't have to pretend I'm not Christian or Jewish or whatever. The stories of real people that have been able to reconcile that is bringing about that change, and people can see, okay, there's my cousin that I love dearly. They're not this weird sexual pervert or anything like that. That's still my cousin that I love, who happens to be a gay man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, you work with Aleph, so that's a support group for queer youth. I mean, what are some
not just youth, but anybody who has
anybody. Yes. All right. Okay, sorry about that.
No.
So what are the kind of, not a specific case study, but what are the sort of the stories that you see coming in the door about people trying to negotiate their faith?
Look, there's a lot of diversity in people's personal situations, whether they come from an extremely religious, orthodox or frum, which is a term to describe people who are very observant, Jewish background, and they can't talk to their friends or family, their peers or anybody within their context about their sexual orientation or how they feel. Or people who are so completely screamingly out that they were born gay effectively. So we have very different types of people coming to say we want to talk about various issues, and they perhaps just acknowledgement that there's somebody there is sufficient for them. to feel a connection, or that other people might need to have a group of friends they can go out with on a night and just have a good time together.
I guess especially if you're in an Orthodox, or was it Frum? Is it Frum?
Yeah, Frum.
Frum.
Yeah.
Great term. That you do need sort of other ways of communicating with people of similar stuff. I think one of the things that's interesting as well is, as the whole movement progresses, some of the seeds that were planted years ago are starting to come to fruition. I mean, if we're talking about religion, I mean, Bob Brown had a really hard time sort of in his day coming out, and now he's a politician. He's an openly queer politician. Now you were telling
Bob Brown's now out of politics.
Oh, okay, all right, sorry. I mean, he was, all right. Sorry, I'm terribly ignorant. But you're not, and you had a story about...
I'm not out of politics, I never was in politics.
No, you're not ignorant. So you've got a story about the possible mayor of New York?
Oh, look, it's an interesting story that I saw this week in the news about a potential candidate for the Democratic Party in America, in New York City, who is a lesbian. And that would be a really interesting situation, I feel, because there's a very strong Jewish community in New York, and I just can see, if this woman gets in as the mayor of New York, it would be a very interesting position where there's a large Jewish, a very ultra-Orthodox Jewish community in New York who tend not to place as much emphasis on women in leaders of power and prefer men to be there, having to deal not only with a woman but with a lesbian. That would be a very interesting position, and I think that would be something that could potentially help open some new conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so if someone's watching and they have faith and they think they might be queer and they don't know where to go, are there any resources that they can look up?
Yeah, look, certainly you can speak to me at my counselling practice. That's MGA Counselling. But also there's an organisation called Freedom to Be that's in all the capital cities, certainly a big chapter here in Melbourne, supporting people with faith backgrounds that are LGBTIQ.
Beautiful. And then obviously there's
Aleph on Facebook, Aleph Melbourne, aleph.org.au on the internet.
Beautiful. And look, even though I'm an atheist, I think let's keep the fight going, because everybody should be able to have the right to believe what they have, or what they believe in freedom. Look, thank you very much for joining us tonight, gentlemen. And that's it for A Queer Idea for tonight.